Good morning, all, depending on when you're watching this. Good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we're going to be looking at some trainer cards that came around at the North American International Championships that we didn't really expect. Trainer cards that haven't been particularly good lately, that haven't seen a lot of play lately, and that weren't expected to see a lot of play, but that popped up in some really, really good decks throughout the weekend, and now essentially are cards that we need to take a lot more seriously than we did before. So first up then, we have OrderPad. Now, this is not the first time I have mentioned OrderPad on this channel. I mean, obviously, I did a video about it when it was revealed, just like every card. But we talked about OrderPad before, but it was in like a Talonflame Rampardos deck. And it was essentially a very, very rogue, very, very unusual deck, which therefore played some very, very rogue, very, very unusual cards. It was used then for getting Unidentified Fossil, because of course you could only use Rampardos from Unidentified Fossil. You can't just play a basic. So you would basically play 4 Talonflame, and then you play 4 Unidentified Fossil, but then you'd need to get it out. So you play OrderPad. I suppose at this point I should remind you that OrderPad says flip a coin, if head, search your deck for an item card and put it into your hand. And it was really good for getting Unidentified Fossil, but it's not seen a huge amount of play since. Well, now it's back, and it's in Buzzwole decks, and it's for B-String. Simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. It is back, and it really is all about B-String. You see, B-String is an over-the-top phenomenal card. It is a card so good that I actually made a video about how it might be too good and arguably should be banned. Wow, banned's a bit strong, but it is defining the format, shall we say. It is an item card that allows you to attach 2 energy from the deck to one of your Pokemon. The only caveats, and there are 2 of them. Number 1, you can only do so if your opponent has 3 or 4 prizes remaining. Number 2, you can only attach them to an Ultra Beast. And that's quite a lot to ask. But when you get it, it's over the top good. Buzzwole becomes amazing. Ultra Necrozma becomes amazing. I still think Duskmane Necrozma becomes amazing, although I do have to concede that it really did not see much success this weekend, at least not according to the stream. Problem is, of course, you've got to get this at the right time. You've got to get it when your opponent's got 3 or 4 prizes remaining. And that's where OrderPad comes in. Because OrderPad essentially becomes flip a coin. If head, search your deck for 2 basic energy and attach them to one of your Ultra Beasts. As long as you've got it at the right time. And B-String is such a good card, so overpowered, so integral to the success of these Ultra Beast decks, that playing an OrderPad really is worth it. You can get other items with it, but essentially what we learned about OrderPad this weekend was, if the card is good enough, and oh my lordy, B-String absolutely is good enough, then it is very much worth playing OrderPad in order to search it out. Another card that saw a fair amount of play this weekend was Weakness Policy, and I must confess, ladies and gentlemen, it does seem a little bit strange that Weakness Policy has taken quite as long as it has done to see a bunch of play. You see, Weakness Policy is an item card, it's a tool card that you attach to one of your Pokemon, and it takes away your weakness. Now, it's one of those cards that I often bemoan because it's essentially in your opponent's control. If your opponent plays a Field Blower, then you lose it. It goes away, and then they can just hit you for weakness. So it's not up to you if it does anything, it's up to your opponent. This only does anything if your opponent doesn't get rid of it before they attack. Fair enough. But it takes away weakness and the biggest Pokemon at the moment. I know Malamar's coming around and Malamar's being good and all of that, but judging by this weekend at the biggest Pokemon tournament ever, the best cards are still Zoroark GX and Buzzwole GX. And it's more important than ever weakness, because Buzzwole, with a Beast Energy, which admittedly is a 1 per deck Prism Star card, but even so, and a Diancie Prism Star, which, okay, is a once per deck Prism Star, but even so, and a choice band, which you're playing 4 of them, you should be able to get them out pretty easily. And to be fair, right, when you're playing Brooklet Hill, unless it's prized, it is not difficult to get Diancie Prism Star out. You're then hitting 220 with weakness and getting a one-hit KO on a Zoroark. You can now KO a Zoroark with Jet Punch. Single energy, straight away KO. Weakness is huge. And these Buzzwole decks are generally not reliant on abilities. Now, a lot of them will be played with Lycanroc, but even then, they're not that reliant on abilities. Lycanroc's still got an amazing GX attack. It's nice, the ability. It's not the be-all and end-all, which is to say you're not terrified of Garbodor. So although you'll play Field Blower, you'll generally play 1 or 2, you generally won't play 3 or 4. Which means you're less likely to have it to get rid of something like a weakness policy. And we see this, and Zoroark decks were playing it this weekend at the North American International Championships. They're playing weakness policy because they're basically saying, look, we are terrified of Buzzwole. Buzzwole sucks, and weakness policy gives us a fighting chance. And that's funny because Buzzwole's a fighting Pokemon. And we saw that players like Tordirect were playing Oranguru from Ultra Prism, which has got that great resource management attack, which recovers free cards from your discard onto the bottom of your deck, and therefore means that you can play 1 or 2 weakness policy and use them several times. And let's not forget that these Zoroark decks are all playing Puzzle of Time now. So you can play 1 weakness policy and then get it back with 2 Puzzle of Time, and then get it back with the other 2 Puzzle of Time, and then recover Puzzle of Time with resource management, and that 1 weakness policy can turn into 3, 4, 5 weakness policy. And it can give you that chance. Does putting weakness policy in your deck automatically guarantee you victory against Buzzwole? No! That would be stupid. But does it mean it's 1 or 2 cards in your deck, which gives you a much better chance against a deck which should be one of your worst matchups? Oh my goodness, yes. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that this weekend, Zoroark was in both the finals decks, and Buzzwole didn't even make top 8. The other card we need to look at here is Timeable. And I always look at Timeable like I look at Great Ball. It's kind of one of those ball cards that isn't particularly good. It's not a patch on something like Ultra Ball, but it usually ends up in theme decks. So you buy a theme deck and you start playing this card until you get something better. Makes perfect sense. And yet, weirdly lately, Timeable has become really, really good. And the answer is, and as obvious as this may sound, I apologise, when you hit double heads, it's really, really good. Now, admittedly, by the same token, when you hit double tails, it's really, really bad. But you flip 2 coins, and for each heads, you get to search your deck for an evolution card and put it into your hand. We do not have a ball card around at the moment that can just search for a Pokemon. Once upon a time, we had Master Ball, which could do that, but even then it was an ace spec. So you'd have to play it over something like Computer Search, which, you know, just wasn't on the cards, ladies and gentlemen. It just wasn't something we were willing to do. So this, you should average 1 heads. Every time you played, you should average 1 heads. And if it was just an item card that said search for an evolution Pokemon, we'd probably play it. Because we're in a very stage 1 heavy format at the moment. Malamar decks are everywhere. Having 2 Inkay on the bench and then flipping double heads on this gets you 2 Malamar. That's pretty sick. Even if you only hit 1, still gets you the Malamar. But something like Zoroark. Now, Zoroark tend to use Evo Soda. And there is a real question here whether you want to go Evo Soda or whether you want to go Timeable. Because on the one hand, Evo Soda is a guaranteed 1, but Timeable could be 2. And if you're nice and early in the game and you hit double heads on Timeable to get 2 Zoroark, you've then got 2 trades, 4 extra cards a turn. It's going nuts. We're seeing this played in decks with Lycanroc because you can search it out and you can get those Lycanroc. It's not the most reliable card ever, but when it hits, it's amazing. And players nowadays, the margins are so thin, they are looking for any edge that they can possibly give themselves. This and Order Pad are both flippy cards. It could go very, very wrong. But like pretty much every flippy card, or let's say every good flippy card we've ever had, It's worth it when you hit a heads, and it's a terrible idea when you hit that tails. These are cards which I did not expect to see seeing a lot of play this weekend at the largest Pokemon trading card game tournament ever. But as I'm sitting there watching the stream and getting all involved, these are cards which kept popping up, and not just, oh, I heard someone's playing this, but popping up in decks piloted by some of the best players in the world at a tournament which is huge, where they've got really good records and are continuing to do well. So I thought it was time to have a look. We've had a look at a bunch of the unexpected cards and decks now from the North American International Championships. This is the last video planned along those lines, although do let me know if you think I've missed anything, and let me know if you think these cards are going to stay around, or whether you think this really is just a flash in the pan. Go nuts! Be nice! Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure that you check out my Pokemon Quest videos, because I love that game. I'm starting to cover it. I'd like it if you joined in. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.